All right. What's up, everyone? So I'm gonna go over the patch notes real quick. I have them on my laptop next to me, and I'll pretty much go over each one of them one by one and see if we can showcase them in game. Alright, so the first notable feature that changes, they added ray tracing, but it's beyond useless since you're pretty much stuck at 30 FPS if you want to use it, and it actually makes no visible difference, so it's hard to tell what they even did for the ray tracing. So no surprise there, that's pretty useless. But now that this is out of the way, let's go to the more interesting stuff. So the first one that they change is the grab. So Inescapable Frenzy and Lifesteal Fist, they increase the power and range. So that's a good thing, although when we tried it, because we tried it earlier, we already tested all of this. We went over everything while everyone was asleep, and the Night Riders already have seen all the changes, but I'm gonna re-showcase everything so that everyone here gets to see it, and I'm gonna be able to talk about it as well. So even though they said that the grab range is bigger, when you actually grab something, it doesn't really feel like much of a difference. But it's listed in the PvP adjustment, so I'm not really sure if this changes massively in PvP or how that would even work. But yeah, I mean, at least it's listed here that they increase the range and the power as well for Inescapable Frenzy grab and Lifesteal Fist grab. Alright, they decrease the power of two-handed jumping attack. So I thought that was a bit strange, because I felt like what was strong was not two-handed jumping attack. I felt like what was strong was power stance jumping attack. So I'm not actually sure. I'm not really sure what that means, to be honest. So I'm a bit confused by this one. I'm not necessarily against it, but I'm trying to think of like something that was like overpowered damage-wise with the jumping. Like the strongest thing I can think of for the two-handed jumping was maybe Shunter. Power stance jumps got nerfed too. Did they underpaid? You thought they did power stance jumping? I don't know. It says that they nerfed two-handed jumping. Maybe it was a translation mistake? You think so? I wish I had the damage numbers from before the patch, actually. But it's PvP adjustment, so we would not see it on PvE. Okay, they also decreased the power of heavy and heavy running attack for fist and claw weapon type. So when they say they decrease the power, this is when they say power, I've noticed, because we played with this earlier, they reduced the stun by a lot from fist, and so they basically kept like the speed and the poise damage the same, but you're not going to be able to vortex anymore because the stun is like dagger stun on that R2. So it's like you cannot really, like after you land an R2, like you cannot stagger and land another R2. Your opponent has priority. So I don't even know if you can jump attack after an R2 to have priority. So the fist pretty much doesn't have a vortex anymore because it does less damage. And the stun, when you actually land it, is so short that you don't have time to stagger another hit and have priority. So I mean, don't get me wrong though, the fist is still a very good weapon because it still has the good running, still has the good jumping. You know, that R2 can still reaction roll catch, but it's I'm gonna have to see like what options are there after an R2 now that you can't, you know, now that you can't like R2 afterward again, like fast enough to have priority. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. I'm thinking maybe you can still have priority like if you do a jump, but I'm not sure. They decrease the power of Founding Rain of Stars spell. I think, which one is it again? I think I have an idea. Magic Downpour? Founding Rain Stars. Honestly, I don't really see it used much, but it did a lot of damage from what I remember. But I can't really comment too much on if the change is good or bad. Decrease the spell enhancement of Terra Magica. So that's pretty good. So Terra Magica does not buff as much. So I'm kind of happy about that. I still feel like Terra Magica gave a bit too much of a buff in PvP. Also, by the way, the things I'm mentioning, this is all PvP exclusive changes, so it has no impact on PvE. Alright, after that we got decrease the damage and poise damage of Wave of Gold skill when hitting an opponent over a certain distance. So we have not tested this, but I'm assuming that they made Wave of Gold a bit more similar to what Moonveil is, right? Where Moonveil, the blast does not stun, and to get the full damage you need to hit the blade as well. So I'm assuming they gave the same treatment to Wave of Gold. That's something. That's definitely really good, although it would have been nice to get the what's it called? It would have been nice to get the desync fixed, but we'll take what we can get. Okay, here's a really good one. Decrease the effectiveness of Determination and Royal Knight Resolve. So they finally nerf RKR. So really, really good. Really happy about that. They also decrease the effect of Contagious Fury, which is the Jellyfish Shield buff. That we have not tested. I was not really aware of like how strong this is, but I think I've seen this somewhere. I think like the Jellyfish buff was mostly a problem at lower level, like with consumables. Like you could have twinks that would one-shot with that shield buff and then throw like consumables. So I think that's why they nerfed it. They also decreased the effectiveness of Claw Talisman, so jumping attacks took a big hit in this patch, and I think that's a really good thing for the balance overall. But with that being said, I don't know the exact numbers for the Claw Talisman. I think we're gonna have to wait for some PC like data mining for this. But it's still good to know that the jumping attack damage has been nerfed with Claw Talisman as well. They also nerfed a lot of blood related damage, so they decreased the effectiveness of Lord's Blood's Exaltation Talisman and the White Mask. So the whole IGN setup took a big hit. By the way, they did fix the IGN glitch as well, so IGN got nerfed super hard this patch. Oh, also they nerfed the Raptor's Black Feather Armor. So the whole IGN build just fell apart like crazy. Everything IGN showcased is pretty much, you know, nerfed in PvP. Also keep in mind those are PvP balance changes. They only affect PvP. But that's good. Those are all good things. They also decreased the damage buff granted by Magic Shrouding, Cracked Tear, Flame Shrouding. So all the elemental damage buff physic got damage decrease in PvP. I also think that's a good thing because the buff that these physic gave kind of were like a bit too strong. It really made it so that like elemental builds were a lot superior to physical build for the damage, and you could crank up some really nasty damage with these tier physic. Yeah, all damage nerfs so far are pretty good, honestly. So those are the exclusive PvP changes. Now let's go to what's going to be more entertaining, because we're going to be able to showcase it. Like, so what we've talked about is PvP damage changes. Those are basically mostly numbers. And here we go into the balance changes overall. So these affect the entire game. So they added an invincibility window when respawning in the Coliseum. So that's pretty crazy. I'm super happy about that. Such a simple fix, but I think it was needed just for, you know, just convenience. It's not this. I'm not gonna say like that we necessarily needed it as good players. Like, like the good players could like swap and kind of work around it a little bit, but there was still frame traps. It was still annoying, and most importantly, the majority of players were not really able to deal with that properly. So this is something we definitely we requested, and it's a very good change. I'm really happy about this. Okay, next one, they increased. I'm curious about that. So keep in mind, they decreased the physic damage scaling for PvP, right? But they increased the scaling of the following attributes when infusing a weapon with certain Ash of Wars. So I'm really interested about that. So they increase, let me read it word by word. Increased the scaling of the following attributes when infusing weapons with certain Ash of War: magic, fire, flame art, lightning, sacred. So I'm actually wondering if, say, you have lightning thunderbolt, sorry, I'll keep calling it lightning strike, but let's say you have thunderbolt on your straight sword on your dex build. I'm wondering if you're gonna get more scaling if you have thunderbolt on your straight sword. Like if let's say your lightning straight sword stays a lightning straight sword, but you could have storm stomp on it or thunderbolt. I'm wondering if that means that we get more damage if we put thunderbolt. So let's actually try it real quick. Let's see if this applies, because I am actually curious, because we can see right now if this applies by doing fire like this, and maybe like put a neutral ash with fire. And let's compare the damage between our two lenses. So no, it's still the same. So I'm not really sure then. It says the damage is pretty much the same. They made the Roar Medallion work with incantation. Oh my god, the dragon is gonna do so much damage. Oh boy. So I'm actually confused by what this says. Increase the scaling of the following attributes. Maybe they just straight up increase magic, fire, flame art, lightning, and sacred, like straight up. Maybe it just, you know, scales better, period. Maybe that's what they did. Let's move to the next one. Increased attribute scaling of the following weapon types. So, Colossal Sword, Great Axe, Hammer, Flail, Great Hammer, Colossal Weapon. So they said they increased the scaling for Colossal Sword, Great Axe, Hammer, Flail, Great Hammer, and Colossal Weapon. It would have been nice to have a reference point for both. Like to know like what is kind of like the damage or the scaling difference to compare. Actually, you know what? We might be able to compare it because I have this Elden Ring tool here. Let's actually use that. So, for instance, this, what is it called? The Heavy Rotten Hammer. We have a two-handed AR of... We have a two-handed AR of 703. And if we go on the Elden Ring website here, or the build planner, if I go on the build planner and if I grab a rotten hammer, maybe it's not updated yet, so I can compare the AR with what it was. Oh, see, yeah. Okay, so check this out. So, for instance, an example for this, this hammer, the rotten hammer, it went from a two-handed AR at 54 strength. It went from 690 to 703, so a 13 damage increase. So they really did not give it that much of a scaling boost. Let's take a look at maybe something that has... This has S scaling too. What else did they boost? Let's take a look. Maybe we can take a look at, say, the bigger hammer. Take a look at Colossals. Like a Giant Crusher. Let's compare Giant Crusher AR now versus before. So 895 now, and before it was, let me tell you real quick. It's kind of useful that this tool has not been updated yet, so we have a comparison. Man, it's really not that much of a difference, guys. So the Giant Crusher went from 880 to 895. So this is like a 1 or 2% increase. This is probably like a 1% increase in damage. This is pretty much irrelevant. This is a bit strange, actually. I am confused. Try Fire and Fusion? Yeah, let's compare Fire and Fusion. Good call. It's a very small increase for physical. Let's try Fire. So, Fire, our AR right now is 950. And if we compare it with before... Give me one sec. Wow, okay, so the AR before was 939, and now it's 950, so... We're looking at the same type of increase of like something around like 1%. This is a bit strange, I'm gonna be honest. Like, this is almost like a mistake. I am confused. Small increase, not too significant. Don't get me wrong, it's good that they buffed the damage, but like a 1% increase is like, when you do like 900 damage, like 10 damage is like nothing. Like, it's really like nothing. Do you guys hear this? There's the neighbor drilling next apartment. Okay, so this 1% increase applied to Colossal, Great Axe, Hammers, Flail, Great Hammers, Colossal. Yeah. No, you didn't hear it? Alright, perfect. Okay, okay, this is where we get into the interesting stuff. Increase speed, range, and recovery time of some attacks of the following weapon type. Check this out. Great Hammer, Great Axe, Great Sword, Curved Great Sword. So, I think these are the biggest beneficiary for Dispatch. They're basically like very usable now. Like, honestly, I think the Rotten Hammer is probably meta because it still has the rot, and now look at that crouch speed. Look at this, so fast crouch speed. It's actually really fast, and the rot buildup on this is really good too. So let's showcase this right here. You can really feel the speed the longer the weapon is. The running attack is really felt as well. Like, the speed of the running attack is very significant. And you also feel it very much when you have it paired. Like this attack right here, like running L1, the speed is really felt. And like the running attacks, and in this case the crouch one-handed, you really feel it. The crouch two-handed seems faster as well, but I feel like the one-handed feels faster, but that could be like an animation thing. Maybe the two-handed is just as fast. I'm gonna wait for the data for this, but the one-handed, when you're in game, it feels faster, it looks faster. So Great Hammers got like a massive buff. I like it though. I don't know where they fit into like the weapon pool. Like, if you're asking me if they're meta now, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna need to play against them and play with them more to give you a proper answer. But from playing with it earlier and playing against it earlier, they definitely are a lot better. And for the Great Hammers, I would say that they're definitely like very viable. Like very, very viable actually. Very good weapons. So I think they're actually in a good spot. If you ask me like whether they're meta or not, like I can't really give you like the straight answer, but they definitely do feel like they're in a good spot now. Alright, after that we got the Great Axe. Great Axe, similar treatment, but I would say they're still maybe not as strong as the Great Hammers. Like, the one-handed attack for Great Axe got sped up, the one-handed crouch. The two-handed crouch, maybe it did, but it doesn't feel like it. Like when I go two-handed crouch, it feels much slower. One-handed feels much faster. One-handed running attack, running L1, like running L1 like is so much faster. And it has so much range too. There's a ton of phantom range on that attack, so this is very deceptive. So that's really good. Look at that, running R2 speed. So much faster. So all of these movesets are just straight up a bit faster across the board and are a lot more usable. So I'm really happy about all of this. I think this is pretty good. And as much as I don't think the Great Axe are as good as the Great Hammers, like the Great Hammers made like a massive jump, like they're much more usable now. Great Axes, I would say they went from like not being viable against a good player to you might be able to do something, but they're still lacking in like a real roll catch. But they're a lot better though, and you know, Great Axes are still like extremely powerful like jumping sticks. So on top of being jumping sticks, now they have like much faster running attacks to like do some chase downs. Also, not to mention, that crouch attack is still extremely good. So it's a much more complete weapon now with this buff. Really like it. Okay, next up we got the Greatsword. Oh, Greatsword. Let me grab a claymore as well. So I think the biggest buff for Greatsword, the one that's more felt when you play, there's two of them. The running attacks are so much faster, like this. This is a lot faster and has more range. And it's funny because this is explicitly something that we ask for to buff Greatswords. I've talked about this many times on the YouTubes. And it really feels so much stronger now. Like Greatswords just got a really good buff. That running attack period, like, that gives you like enough forward momentum to really engage on your opponent, and like you can actually space and punish, you know. So it's a lot better. It feels really good. Same thing, running R2 much faster. It's really good as well. But it's really the running R1 that's kind of game changing. And the other game changing thing is that fast R2. It is only the swipe R2. Actually, it's all the R2s got buffed for Greatsword except the Claymore Poke, unfortunately. So, if you compare that to Claymore Poke is pretty much same speed. Crouch attack's the same, but, I mean, Claymore still has better running attack speed as well. But I would say before the patch, I would have argued that Claymore was the best Greatsword, and now I think there's a much stronger argument for Knight's Greatsword after 1.09, just because that R2 now is just Claymore. Like, the reason why Claymore was the best Greatsword before the patch was because of the R2, and now because this R2 is just straight up really fast, you can actually vortex. Well, say vortex. You can really like roll catch chain someone with this. If they panic roll, you can absolutely roll catch chain with this, and on top of that, you know, it's an R2, so you can actually charge it. So this is a serious buff to Greatswords. It's really, really good, and we've played with it plenty earlier. It feels great. The weapon does not feel overpowered. Quite the opposite. It actually feels much more like an actual balanced weapon. So this is some amazing changes, and check this out. You guys know like how Impaling Thrust you can cancel like with an R2 early? Well, now with Impaling Thrust you get that lightning fast R2 that comes after. So R2 has almost the same speed compared to R1. Yeah, it's true. That's nice though. It's really nice. Okay, what else do we got? Oh yeah, I should showcase the extent of what Greatsword got. So it's not just like the two-handed moveset, one-handed as well, you know, see that? That's also pretty good. Crouch attack does not seem to have changed, but this has changed. The L1 moveset, also much faster. I played with this earlier though, it's still pretty bad, like the power stance Greatsword does not really feel amazing, but to be honest, I could care less. I think Greatswords are meant to be played two-handed regardless, so yeah, backstep L1 seems the same speed, unless I could be tripping, but that seems the same speed to me. Okay. Oh, and the big one, the curved Greatsword. If there's a weapon that's closest to meta now, it's going to be the curved Greatsword. So everything got sped up on that thing. So actually, maybe not the R1. The R1 might be the same, but running attack are the biggest deal. Might not look like a lot, but there is a ton of phantom range on that thing now. So it's actually really easy to catch someone with that running attack. Like, it is a real threat. Running R2, you know, same thing, really fast, but check this out. Check the crouch. Check how much faster the crouch is. It basically had a similar treatment to the Great Hammer that we showcased, but this one just has a lot more forward momentum. And check the R2, like, look at how fast this R2 is. This is such a threat. If you don't charge it, it's dangerous, man. It's basically like the, yeah, it probably plays like a Scythe, except that honestly it's probably better. It's probably better because that R2 is just not, unless like I'm missing something, I don't think it's very strafable. Has a ton of forward momentum, has a ton of strong attack. You know, Scythe is still mainly like reliant on the crouch attack. Like this here, it feels like it has like much more going for it. It has a neutral R2, it has a running R2, it has a bunch of things. Well, Scythe is kind of complete as well, but this feels like it's just better. So we played against some earlier, some people using it. Also the, what's it called? The curved Greatsword that has a blood trail effect. You guys know which one I'm talking about? The one that requires 35 dex. The Ash of War, release of the blood, got also sped up, so that thing is actually very dangerous now. So yeah, Morgott, thank you. So Morgott actually feels like it got buffed massively because its Ash of War and its full moveset got buffed. So I think if there's a big winner from today, I would say Curved Greatsword are the biggest winner from this patch. After that, I would say Great Hammers. As much as Great Swords are really, really good, I'd put Great Swords after that, but Great Hammers went from, like, you know, mediocre to, like, really good. And Curved Greatsword might actually be meta. Like, you could it's very early to say that, but from the few fights I had, it looked like it was a weapon that had potential to compete. I don't know if you'll need like an offhand thrusting sword to make it work like even better, but just the fact that you had this very, very fast like running attack with a lot of range and crouch attack, those two attacks alone make it seem like curved greatswords are going to be able to compete with some of the better weapons. So I'm extremely happy about this. So we got a great buff to great hammers, great axe, great swords, and curved great swords. I don't think any one of them are overpowered either. I just think they're in a really good place. Alright, next up we got the Flail. So they buff Flails. We actually played a little bit earlier with it. And they buffed the... Let me read real quick what they buffed. They buffed the speed of some attacks as they run. Increase the speed of some attacks. That's word for word. Reduce attack recovery time, so they reduce recovery. And increase poise when using two-handed attacks. So they increase poise damage two-handed. And we played a little bit with it earlier. I'm gonna be honest, it feels like Flail now feel better than a lot of small weapons two-handed. Just because it does a lot of poise damage. And it has a decent amount of speed. So even like the running attack, for instance, right? Like this. That's fast. That's fast enough like to be a threat. It's not like the best, but like when you look at the entire moveset here, it's much faster than before. Now, is it good? I would say it went from being like a useless weapon to now it's probably like a middle of the pack weapon. Maybe leaning a little bit more toward the viable side than the bad side. So I think it went from being like mediocre to maybe all right, right? I think it's all right now. And one thing to keep in mind, guys, if you're fighting a parry spammer, Flail cannot get parried. So you actually have a weapon where you can like have some decent speed, be very aggressive with it. So if you're fighting someone that parry spam, maybe pulling out a Flail will actually be like a viable option now, or an option that makes sense. Okay, you can't parry that? Am I wrong? I was under the impression that you could not parry Flail. Can someone confirm if I'm bullshitting? No, you can't? Okay, thank you guys. Can't parry Flails. Okay, yeah, there you go. Thanks for the confirmation. It says in the discrimination. The description, yeah. Okay. So yeah, these are the Flail attacks. Also, they sped up the Flail power stance moveset, but it's still kind of trash, so... The crouch power stance seems decent at best, but I don't think I'd use that power stance. But yeah, they're much better now. They're not amazing, but they're much better. Okay. Now, increase the running attack speed and reduce attack recovery of the following weapon type. Straight sword, curved sword, katana, twinblade, axe, hammer, halberd. So this is a pretty long list. So this is about increasing running attack speed and reducing the recovery. So let's take a look at everything. Let's start with the first one, straight swords. So I've played around with straight swords earlier. Also, I should probably include this one as well. Increase the first attack speed of the following weapon type: straight sword, curved sword, and whip. So they increase like the first attack of straight sword, like two-handed. That attack is faster than it was before, which is nice, but it's still not amazing. We played around with it earlier. You know, when you have that crouch attack, the crouch attack seems better, but at the same time, like, that running attack speed is also increased. And the most important thing is that running R2. That running R2 is much faster, and keep in mind that the running R2 does a lot more poise damage. So that makes it so you can technically use the two-handed straight sword against like more poised up opponent, just because the running R2 is legitimately like usable. So we were playing with it earlier, and it was actually, I would say it was definitely like a lot better than what straight sword was. Like before 1.09, if you wanted to play with a straight sword without another straight sword, so basically if you wanted to play with a straight sword without power stancing it, you were basically like shooting yourself in the foot. Now I would not say that it's the case anymore. Like this running R2 is game changer. Running one-handed R2 also much faster. So straight sword got some nice buffs when it comes to the one-handed and two-handed moveset. And then technically, because they nerfed the claw talisman raptors, and the jumping attack for straight sword, the damage is likely to be nerfed a little bit as well. So it's kind of nice, honestly. So I would say it's the two-handed moveset is somewhat usable. It's more than usable. I would say straight sword is probably a little bit better than the flail, because you still have access to that fast crouch poke that's a good roll catch. You have this, the poise break, and you just have different timings. Like you can mix it up a little bit more with the straight sword. So I'm actually happy with this buff as well. I think it's a good buff. So we're getting a lot of W's today, honestly. Okay, let's go to the next one. Yeah, Acetone, I know. We went over these patches already. I'm going over it again because I could not speak earlier this morning when this dropped. So we're gonna go over everything. Let's go to curve swords. So I had a blast earlier playing with curve swords. I actually think that curve swords are like one of the how do you say it? Like an unsung winner here are curve swords. So let me pull up a Shemshir so you can see the speed difference. Let's go item type. Let's pull up a few curve swords. So, when it comes to curve sword, let's take a look at Shemshir. The running attack, see that? The running attack is faster, definitely. When I play with the normal R1, it does not feel that much faster, but when I go to, like, say, a scimitar, the scimitar feels much faster than before. Like, I feel like most curve swords feel like they have, like, Shemshir speed now. So it feels like every curve sword is a Shemshir. And then, like even this other moveset, you know, the more standard moveset, like Scimitar, Falchion, Grossmesser. Like these weapons feel a lot faster now. And that's the R1, so same thing with the running attack. And most importantly, look at that running R2. That's some very good speed on the running R2. And keep in mind, two-handed running R2 does some decent poise damage as well. I think actually it's a guaranteed poise break if you have, what's it called? Crackblade for the running R2. So, quite nice, honestly, really happy about it. I feel like curve swords were a bit underwhelming before that. Also, power stance, normal L1, feel faster. Running attack, not so much. Power stance, running attack feels the same. But L1 feels faster, R1 faster, running R1 faster, running R2 faster. Normal R2 does not feel faster, so are the feints, like they feel just normal. So really nice for curved sword as well. I was actually curious. The Shotel feels kind of nice. You know, knowing that Shotel has some shield chip, like, it's probably really nice to, like, spam with Shotel now against a shield where it was a bit too slow before. Like, now with that speed, you might be able to beat out shield poke with it. So Shotel might actually, like, find its place back as, like, a shield counter. I don't know yet. You know, this is more like theory crafting. The biggest buff was Flail. They got like 30% speed across the board. Yeah, Flail were really bad though. Thanks for the heads up, Acetone. We played with Flail earlier, and we played with pretty much all the weapon that they buffed, or nearly all of them. And Flail did feel a lot better than before, because I've played with Flail pre-patch and after 1.09. They feel a lot better, but I would still put them in the, like, you know, alright. They went from really bad to they're an alright weapon, more on the viable side than the bad side, but they're still not, like, amazing. Alright, after that we got Katanas. So Katanas, I'm gonna be honest, I don't play with Katanas much, so I had trouble noticing the increase in speed, so maybe you guys can help me out with this. So I was having a hard time figuring out, like, which attack got sped up for the Katanas. So from the patch notes, it says that it's the running attack speed and recovery, so I'm assuming the running R1 got sped up. That's what it looks like. And like two-handed running R1 and two-handed running R2, to me looks like what got sped up for Katana. Which I don't think is really overpowered in terms of speed. But I think it's a nice addition, because Katanas, you know, this is a Japanese studio, and Katanas, aside from Moonveil spam, like, they were a bit underwhelming. I mean, Nagakiba's was still pretty good, but I feel like they, like, for the running attack, they could have been better. So I think I like this buff for the Katana. 2 frame faster running R2. All right, same for Halberd. Yeah, the running R2 for Halberd. Yeah. So let's see here. So for Katanas, this feels faster though. This L1 looks faster, but like I said, I don't play with Katanas much, so I could be mistaken. Crouch feels the same, but the normal L1 feels faster. Running L1 too, but I could be mistaken. It looks the same. You played a lot. Okay, well, see, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I don't play with the weapon much, so I don't have good visual equity for this particular weapon. Claw Talisman was nerfed by 20% in PvP. So what is the boost of Claw Talisman now? %? Wait, what was it before then? 8%. Claw was 15. So no, it's not about Matt. I just don't know what Claw Talisman actually gave before the patch. I don't know if it gave like 20, 15, 10. It does 10% now? Oh, okay. There you go. It was 15%? Oh, okay. Okay, so this is Katana. But like I said, I don't play with it much, so I'm not really noticing a lot of these changes for Katanas. because I don't play with it enough. Let's see the next one. Twin blades. I think they're still in the box. Twin blade, I have a feeling they nerfed the running R2. But you know, twin blade is another one of these where I don't play that much with them. But like that running R2 feels faster than before by a little bit. I don't know about the running R1, but like the one-handed running R2 feels a lot faster. Like that attack, I swear that this attack is faster. Now I don't know about power stance though. I don't think we even tried. That does not look faster. Yeah, that running R2 is definitely felt a lot faster. So this probably makes the weapon a lot better, honestly. I think I like it. I don't play with these much because I think they're really ugly, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah, the twin blade talisman got buffed as well. Yeah. After that, we got axes, hammer, and halberd. Let's grab some axe. I'm gonna be honest. We looked at the axe earlier, and it was not really felt. The buff for the axe. Like, I look at axe and I don't really feel like they got a massive buff. Although I don't think I looked at the warped axe. Warped axe was already like kind of a special move. Let's take a look at all the different axe movesets here. So this is unchanged. Running R1 and running R2 might be a little bit faster, but I could be tripping, honestly. It's one of those where I don't really play much with these, but like that, for instance, feels a bit faster than before. Oops. Crouch attack, same speed. Running R2 is still mediocre. Interesting, but it's 1 frame faster on the first R1. For what, Chirico, for the hand axe? That's the case. Like, it was already fast, so the Shemshir, okay. I mean, the cleaver was already really good. Honestly, I'm having a hard time, like, noticing the axe changes, just like when I looked at it earlier. Chain R1 looks faster. Think so? I don't see it. Because this, keep in mind, like, this was buffed, like, before this patch. Like, axes got buffed, like, a little bit ago. So, this is not their first buff. To me, it looks pretty much the same. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So we got hammers and halberd. For the hammers, let's take a look at the club type and the actual mace type. Okay, we got the club type, mace type. Oh, actually, I want to see the monkey mace. Finger, maybe. So, again, it says that the running attack is a bit faster here. I mean, the running R2 is just so bad that I don't know about that. That one-handed crouch is pretty fast. I like it. But, this is not the most felt change either. It looks like one-handed running R1 is a bit faster, but like just by a little bit. I don't know if one-handed crouch is also faster as well. Yo, what's up, Steel Raiders? How is everyone doing? We're still going over the patch. Thanks for the raid, Steel. Really appreciate. I'm gonna thank all of you guys who also subbed and donated throughout like the stream. Like, I know our clock says that we've been live for an hour, but we restarted the stream twice because OBS fucked up. So we've been live for probably like 5 or 4 hours. But we are going over like all the patch notes to showcase pretty much what has been buffed. Although we already went over it earlier, but I did not have a mic, so now we're going over it with voice. And we also had the opportunity to play in the arena with most of the weapons that got buffed and that got changed. So we already have a decent feeling as to where everything fits. Not exactly, but we have a good idea. So I don't think really I don't think they buffed the speed of the Mace L1. Could be wrong, but if they did, it's not really felt. That crouch attack seems decently fast, but again, I'm not really feeling like that. Might be a little bit faster, but it's so bad that, you know, it's not really that felt. Like the mace running attack was it's already poor range. I'm interested in this one. I don't think they changed it. It's unfortunate. If they sped up that running attack, that could have been interesting. Oh shit, Monkey Mace is much faster now. The Monkey Mace is actually faster. That is so interesting. That is so funny. Wow. Insane. I did not notice that earlier. We did not check the Monkey Mace, but yeah, that R2 definitely seems like it got sped up a little bit. But yeah, some of these changes are hard to notice because, as you guys know, you know, the moveset already got sped up like last patch, so it's hard to notice like another change. But I mean, the patch note says that the running attack got faster. Like, if anything, it's probably like the running R1. That's the one I maybe feel the most, but it might be like 1 frame or something like that. But yeah, it's hard to notice, you know, we don't play it that much with these weapons. Two-handed running R2 with this feels faster, that's for sure. Okay. After that, we got Halberd. You know what's funny? Like, the only change I've noticed, like, I've looked at the moveset extensively. The only change I've noticed was, like, the two-handed running R2. That's the only attack that seemed, like, faster to me. I could be wrong. But even the normal running attack feels like similar speed to before, but I do play with Halberd like a decent bit. It might be like 1 frame faster, but it looks very similar. It's the one I feel the most is that two-handed running R2, like that I feel it. One-handed running R2, I don't know, maybe I never used that attack before, but I don't really notice it that much for the one-handed running R2. The two-handed running R2, I do notice it. One-handed running R1 is a little bit faster. Is that confirmed that one-handed running R1 is a bit faster? I feel like maybe there's like 1 frame difference, but it's like, it could be like my mind playing tricks on me, you know? It's 2 frames faster. The running R1, not the running R2 though. Running R2, this definitely feels faster than before, but talking about the running R1. Is the running R1 the same as before? Or is it placebo? Yeah, exactly. Running R1's faster, running R1's no faster, no faster. Same as before. Yeah, we know that running R2 is definitely faster, but I don't know. To me, running R1 feels the same, and if there's any change, it's either 1 frame or it's placebo, like you guys said. It's the same? Alright. Alright, so these are the changes for Halberd, so it's basically only the running R2. Now, guard counter speed. I don't know if you guys want to go over all the guard counter speed. It's pretty boring stuff, honestly. Like, guard counter, as much as it was useless before, it's still bad, you know? Let's take a look. We got an increase for guard counter speed for straight sword. Let's go in order. For straight sword, start with straight sword. You know, alright speed. We got Greatsword. You know, it's faster, but it's not like, you know, revolutionary or anything. We got Colossal Swords. Do I have a Colossal Swords, though? I don't think I picked one up. Let's pick up, like, a Zweihander. Or a Grafted. I mean, it's faster, but it's still slow as molasses. So, Colossal, Curved Greatsword. Let's take a look at the good Curved Greatsword. Massively buff. That's still very, you know, pretty mediocre if you ask me still. Katanas, let's try Katana. It's probably going to be decent speed. Oh, wow. That's decent speed. That's more in the range of, like, usable for the Katana. It's interesting. Okay, so let's try twinblade. Looks similar speed as Katana. Axe. Let's try with hand axe, see if it has a different one. I don't think it does. And it looks similar for all the axe. Great axe. Little blob being useful. That's pretty slow, but it's probably somewhat usable for some priorities. Great hammers. You know, this is pretty uneventful. You know, guard counters were pretty useless before. I still think they're not great. And I don't necessarily want them to be great either. I don't think they're a very important part of the game, to be honest. I know it's never nice to have a mechanic that's useless, but I don't really care too much about guard counters, to be honest. So that's spear. Take a look at great spears. It did more damage, by the way, because this is fire. Like, this blob is resistant to physical. Okay, last one. Halberd, we already did it. Alright. So, reduce the recovery time for whip weapon. They also increase the speed for normal R1 for whip. So we're going to showcase the whip moveset real quick. So, whip moveset, the normal R1 is faster. It's very felt two-handed. Like, two-handed, like, you definitely feel the normal R1, like, being much faster than before. I actually don't know about power stance. I might be faster. I think standing L1 might actually be faster for whip. Indiana Jones build, yeah. I don't know about the running attacks. I'm not noticing them much, but it feels like all the standing normal R1, L1, whether it's two-handed, power stance, one-handed, they all feel faster for the whip. Let's see here. Increase the damage of claw weapons. See, they nerfed the fists. And, you know, they don't have the vortex anymore. I'm actually curious. I'm curious about how the claws fit into all of this now, since they got a damage increase. I don't think claws needed a damage increase, to be honest. They already did good damage. So, not too sure about this one. But, I mean, pretty minimal, honestly. I added holy damage and fate scaling to Great Club. This is a bit, you know... Wait. To Great Club? They mean this? Wait a second. Or do they mean... They probably mean the Colossal. Because the Colossal had a Fate Ash of War that had 0 scaling. So it was like doomed to fail. That's probably the one they changed. Like this. Yeah, Great Club. There you go. Yeah, this. Okay. Yeah, they did add scaling for this. Because that made no sense. Because it was a pure strength weapon with an Ash of War that only scaled off of Fate. So, like, the Fate Ash of War basically did no damage on the Great Club, which was extremely weird. So, they fixed that. Increase the damage negation when blocking holy damage and decrease damage negation when blocking damage from other affinities. That's a bit weird. I've never noticed anything like that. Increased damage negation, so you take less damage from holy damage, and then you take more damage from other types of damage when blocking. Interesting. I've never noticed anything special about that. Increase the effectiveness of twinblade talisman. Yeah. Slightly reduce rolling travel distance for light equip load. So this is a bit weird. Like, we didn't really notice it when they patched it. Like, we didn't really notice it much. It's definitely like not much of a light roll nerf, but it's pretty much like enough so that most PvEers won't notice, and most PvPers won't notice either. A problem though is that the BHS like light roll speed is still crazy. Like the BHS light roll is still like fucking ridiculous. Look at that. You can deja vu your way out of here. So that's still problematic. This is like a non-fix. You were catching it with Clean Rot earlier. Guess I'm gonna have to fight more light roll. But the light roll BHS seems to be the same, so I don't know about that. Let's see. Decrease the hitbox size for some attack of the following weapon types. So they decrease the hitbox size for most thrusting weapons. So thrusting sword, heavy thrusting sword, spears, great spears, halberd. This is really good. Like, this is a really good nerf. Let's actually... This might not be the right enemy to do this on. I think the thing here. Maybe we can go somewhere else for this. Because this enemy is short. Like, we would want, like, a... Let's go to the classroom. The bird? Fuck that bird. Come on, chat. No, it's going to be more trouble, but... We can test it on these guys because you can roll into them and they stand up. Oh. Well. That was an unintentional backstab? Okay. So the hitbox was pretty big before. It seems like you can still like sort of like dead and go with it. What if we like aim to the side here? This is a bit too much. It still looks pretty big to me. Like I have to... Like I have to really try to not hit them. It still feels pretty big. So, honestly, I don't know. I don't know about in practice. I think it's only on my left side. Maybe that was a bit too clean. I don't know, guys. I don't want to backstab him. Like, I have to, like... I have to aim, like, completely away from the target to, like, not hit it. Oh. Okay, okay, maybe... Maybe, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Doesn't feel like the biggest change. Doesn't feel like the biggest change. What about heavy thrusting sword? Like, see the difference here? Like, notice the difference between, like, the thrusting sword and the heavy thrusting sword? Like, see how... Like, look at that. Check out the difference. See that? Stop it. Now we really went through him on this one. That... But yeah, the small thrusting sword, it feels like the hitbox is still like significantly bigger. Like we can like free aim and aim away with the heavy thrusting sword and it doesn't connect. if we aim away from the target like that, it does not clip with the hilt like this. It just doesn't. Whereas the thrusting sword clearly... Oh! Oh? Maybe it's the elevation though. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Okay, so there's heavy thrusting sword, there's spears. For spears, I'm actually curious about... you know what I'm curious about. Curious about the L1. Yeah. I don't know, man. Okay, let's try to aim just a bit to the side. I mean, you could say the hitbox is probably a little bit tighter, but it doesn't feel like the biggest change, honestly. Same with, like, when I tried the Great Spears in the arena, the crouch didn't really feel that different. Like, it's... trying to go on the limit of the hitbox, but it's probably, you know, it's probably more noticeable if you're on PC with hitbox viewer. But as far as, like, how it's felt, the Halberd, when I was playing with the Halberd earlier, so the running attack felt like they were a bit easier to maneuver around. So for the Halberd, I felt like the hitbox is definitely a little bit smaller, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I mean, it's still good. Like, none of these weapons, like, got a heavy nerf. Let's put it that way. But yeah, this is it for, like, the hitbox. Now, for the Ash of War adjustment, they increased the grab range of Lifesteal Fist, which is not really felt, honestly, either when I play with it. Increased projectile generation speed of Surge of Fate. I forgot what this Ash of War is, but which one is Surge of Fate? Surge of Fate. The Head Great Hammer? Oh, the one we tried. Okay, yeah, this one, Surge of Fate. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna showcase it, but it's honestly, it's like it's an irrelevant change. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that Ash of War is garbage, and it's still garbage. I'm just gonna put it like that. It's still a meme. It's still bad. It still sucks. So that's that. Flame Spit. Flame Spit is the interesting one-eye shield. So you'll notice that the projectile for this now travels in a straight line, whereas before it would do like an arc, right? Like it'd do like really like an arc, but now like it has much more like forward momentum and like more of a linear trajectory. So that's really felt like this is definitely like a nice addition. I think it's easier to aim. It feels more intuitive to shoot with the damn thing. So I like it. Yeah, it is easier to aim. It's more intuitive. It makes more sense too, like the fireball travels in a more direct fashion. So visually it's more appealing too on top of it. Tongues of Fire increase also that the when you're cranking that Ash of War. Before that you'd basically guard break these with like any jumping attack. Now I've not tested this, but they said that they increase the amount of blocking that you have when you do the skill. So would be interesting to see like how much it takes now to guard break it. And they also increased that blocking capability for the other mouth shield, the one that spits like fire in front of you. So that's good. Also, another one of my favorite, this one we need to showcase it, absolutely. They buffed Great Auricular Bubble, but like, as someone who used that thing like quite a bit, I noticed the difference is huge. Like, huge difference. I think we went way past it. So the honk, honestly this is probably like double the speed of what it was. Like this was so much slower. Like you could say this is slow, but this is a lot faster than what it was. It might actually be like quite useful in Invasion with the speed this has. It is so much faster. It's actually yeah, by the way, the weapon was already like, you know, it's still a meme weapon, but because the bubble has some decent tracking, they had already buffed the tracking of the bubble. The bubble does great damage. It also does splash damage, so, you know, it's like a decent size explosion, like AoE. So you can kind of use it like around walls and corners like that, like clip through it. So, like the fact that it's like probably like 2 times faster now just makes it like that much better. So the whole thing actually got a nice buff. It's going to be nice to use in invasions especially. Okay, the other one that they buff is the recovery for Viper Bite. Still useless in my opinion because the initial attack is still too slow to be like really usable. So, you know, difference is that you can roll out a little bit faster now, but it's still bad, if I'm being honest. Like the initial speed of the attack and the whole attack is just too long. It's deadly poison, yeah, but there's like easier ways to set up rot instead of deadly poison. But it's a snake on a shield, yeah, exactly. Shriek of Milos, increased close range poise damage. So probably is going to get stunned by the explosion now. Okay, there you go. This is cancer. We found something cancer in this patch already. We tested that earlier. Like this is just straight up. This is a no-no. This is press to win. Dex. So check this out. This is like probably like twice as fast as before. This is like ridiculously fast now. Let's showcase it like at gate front. This is like stupid fast. This is like Rain of Arrows, by the way, too. Like you can, as long as you have a lock on someone, you can clip people through walls. So, like, this thing is just not good. Like, for instance, like, we can stay, like, here. Or, like, lock onto this guy back there, maybe even. Okay, it doesn't reach, but... like, if we go here, we're gonna reach. This is just like too fast, man. Gankers already used this? Yeah. Now it's faster. Like very fast too. This is like Rain of Arrows on steroids. Not sure why they buffed that. Like, I don't really understand. Like, that was not, like, underpowered or anything. By the way, like, I have, like, minimum requirement for the thing, too. Like, it still does, like, a lot of damage. Yeah, well, here you go. This is some of the cancer we found so far. So this thing is definitely, I think, too fast. It's going to be quite annoying in invasions, and even in like arena team fights. Like, this is legitimately, like, if you are playing a 2v2 tournament at the moment and this thing is allowed, like, this is probably legitimately one of the best tool for 2v2 team fights. Just because of the speed and the area it covers. Like, the arrows rain down almost immediately. So yeah, that's that. Cursed Blood Slash. This is the curved greatsword. Where is it? There you go. It's the Morgott sword. Yeah, I think we can wield it. Nope, needs 17th Fate. There you go, we should be able to wield it now. So, you know, as much as like the whole moveset for the curved greatsword got faster, so the weapon already got buffed by that, but now the blood from the Ash of War comes out faster now. So like the whole weapon got like a massive buff. Like the weapon is a lot better now. It's deceptively strong actually. So this thing got a lot stronger because curved greatsword are much stronger now, and then this Ash of War got a small buff as well with the time it takes for the fire to come out. After that we got Goldbreaker, one of my favorite. What about the second part of the Ash of War? Yeah, I can show it. So they reduced the recovery cancel for Goldbreaker into rolling. So before you could guarantee backstab on roll on that Ash of War, now you'd probably need to be a lot tighter to pull it off. So they reduced the recovery between rolling after the Ash of War, but they did not with like attack into attack. So see how long it takes to spam it? This was like the recovery it took before to roll as well. So you can't really spam that. So it's like a small change, but since I've used that, I notice it more. But yeah, it's a good addition, I guess. Not a big deal, but yeah. Commander Standard. They slightly sped up the buff. So that thing like is slightly faster than before. But I mean, it's not like, you know, it's not that much faster. Stormcaller Cry. That one is interesting. So, what they did to this Ash of War is they sped up the second part. So before, like, you could get hit by this and then like walk behind someone, like the person that was doing it. You could walk behind them and backstab them guaranteed. So now they sped up slightly the follow-up, like the slam on the floor. Like that is faster, but by a little bit. It's not that much, but it's definitely noticeable. So that's good. It's not major, but that's good. Spinning Wheel. Spinning Wheel got a bit of a an interesting change. There it is. So now you can cancel the Ash of War with an R2. There's some action cancel here going on. So this is interesting. You can roll out like faster, or you can go into an R2, or you can go into like a charge R2 instead. So this is quite interesting. Also, they increase the speed to release like that thing. You skipped the Godric Axe? Oh yeah. Actually, I did skip Godric Axe. I think I even skipped it last time too. I don't even think I've seen it. There it is. So it says that they increase the speed of the attack. Okay. It's definitely not the fastest. I'm gonna be honest, I have never used that attack in PvP. As I don't think I've ever used that attack aside from like testing or like just doing it to like nothing. So I'm hardly noticing the speed difference. Yeah, I'd say it's still bad. Alright, now we get to the bug fixes. So they fixed a lot of bugs. I'm just going to go over them quickly. Fix a bug where Scarlet Rot buildup was not properly reflected when giving Enspire Rapier a cold affinity. Fix a bug where the Scarlet Rot status was not properly reflected when giving the Rotten Great Axe a blood affinity. So mixing status kind of gave like the wrong buildup. Fix a bug where some attack of the Partisan, Death Ritual Spear, and Lucerne had unexpected physical attack scaling. So they should do less damage, I guess. Fix a bug where the Knight Rider Glaive did not increase damage on horseback. That's not relevant to us. Fix a bug where the Duelist Great Axe and the Rotten Great Axe did not increase the damage of charge attacks. These are a bit like obscure bugs that you don't really notice unless you play those specific scenarios. Fix a bug where the Raw Medallion Tail effect didn't affect or didn't increase the power of some incantation. So it seems like now the Roar Medallion is going to affect like Greyyor's Roar, which already did plenty of damage. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen there. Fix a bug that reduced the power of some skills under the Golden Vow effect. Was not aware of that. Fix the bug that caused the effect Determination and RKR, or Royal Knight Resolve, to apply or to be casted from a left-handed weapon and be applied on another skill casted on the right weapon. So basically, if you used RKR on the left hand, it had some effect on the right hand sometimes. This has been like a recurring bug that was there since launch. They patched some of it at launch, and it seems like there was some left over. Fix a bug that reduced the critical hit power of the right-handed weapon while having Determination or RKR on left weapon. Interesting. Fix a bug where status buildup were unintentionally added to some weapon skills. So that's interesting. So what they're saying here is that there were some Ash of War that had unintentional status buildup. So I'm thinking here, like, the only Ash of War I can think of... IGN build? Oh, yeah, you're right. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. That's the IGN. Yeah, we read that a few hours ago. I think I'm getting tired, too. Yeah, you're right. They fixed the IGN bug. Yeah, we tested that earlier as well. Fix a bug where the power and special effect of left-handed weapon could be added to a skill to cast with a right-hand weapon. So these often, like a lot of these offhand weapon interaction have been fixed, it seems. Fix the bug that caused an equipped sacrificial twig to be consumed when a player died in the Coliseum. Why would you have that in the Coliseum? I would say that's more your problem, but... Fix a bug where a player could receive credit for a kill in the Coliseum when dying, when due to a death by dead blight, I think, by status effect. Improve stability in the Coliseum matchmaking. That's quite interesting. I'm curious to know what they did exactly to improve the stability for matchmaking in the arena. That's a much welcome addition, though. We're really happy about this. Fix a bug related to level correction when an invader used Phantom Bloody Finger. So no more unscale by using Phantom Bloody Finger. That's great. Fix a bug that could cause disconnection with other players in certain location during multiplayer. Improve multiplayer stability. Fix a PlayStation 4 bug that occurred when using the finger sever on a summoned NPC that could cause a crash. Fix a bug related to some enemies not rendering or behaving as expected. And then several performance improvement and other bug fixes. So, that's everything. So all in all, guys, I'm going to be honest, I think this is one of the better patch that we've had. There's not much, and like we always do the good, the bad, and the ugly for every patch they roll out. And I don't think there's really that much ugly. Like, the ugliest thing I think that came from this patch is the Spear Call Ritual Spear Ash of War. And I don't think it's going to be like the worst thing out there. It seems it's going to be extremely annoying in invasions. But this is not, like, we're not talking about like completely game breaking, right? Unless this thing might, if this thing does like a bazillion damage, that might be. But this is probably like the worst thing that there is for this patch. You're gonna pick it up now? Yeah. So, all in all, I think this is a really good patch. The best changes from this patch is that they brought, I would say, 3 weapon class up there. They brought Greatsword up there. They brought Curved Greatsword, and they brought Great Hammers. Now, other weapons have been buffed. Flails have been buffed. Great Axes have been buffed. Curved Sword have been buffed. You know, Straight Sword, Two-Handed, little bit. The other weapons have been touched. Kestis had a significant nerf, though, because they said they reduced the power of the R2, but in fact they reduced the stun of the R2, and the R2 has such low stun now that you cannot vortex anymore. So while this... I'm sorry. I'm gonna need some water after this. Okay, so while the Kestis cannot vortex anymore, it's still usable because you can still use like the the blunt of the moveset. Let me go grab some water. I'm fucking dying over here. Give me 1 sec, guys. I'll be right back. Alright, much better. Now I can finish a sentence. Okay, so what I was saying for the Kestis. While it got a heavy nerf for the R2, it was not the nerf we expected. They basically nerfed the stun. So you can't really vortex anymore, and the reason is you don't have priority if you land an R2 clean and then stagger an R2 and go for another R2. Like, your opponent has enough time to retaliate and attack back between your R2s because your stun is just so small. So you're gonna have to go for like R2, and then I've not even tried it. I don't even know if you have enough time to go for like R2 clean hit into jumping attack. That's how like slow the that's how little the stun is. So they basically removed the vortex, but like the weapon still has everything else, right? So the weapon still has a good running attack, still has a good like jumping attack. You know, the speed is the same, right? So the speed for the R2, you can still reaction roll catch with it. All right, Major back. That's a get the fuck out of here. No stupid comments in chat. We don't want them to fucking nerf weapons for no reason. Thank you. Alright. So basically it's like, I want to say like it looks at first glance like a light nerf, but this is a pretty heavy nerf to Kestis. Shunter doesn't deserve a nerf at all, so people that are asking for a nerf to Shunter, I mean, honestly, get good. Seriously. It's far from being overpowered. It's a pretty fair weapon. Also, with the recent changes, like, you know, honestly, with all the new weapons that have, like, a fast crouch attack, I don't really see why the Lancers would get, like, a heavy nerf either, to be honest. I feel like, a lot of people hating on it are just not really well versed in the game in general, if I'm being honest. Especially now that like curved greatswords are gonna have like comparable. They're gonna have like good forward momentum, good crouch attack. Like you basically have now introduced like 2 new weapons that play similarly to like to Shunter, with like the great hammers and the curved greatsword. So we just have more variety. You don't want to kill variety. I think one really good point that the patch brought was the fact that they added a lot more buffs than they did nerfs. And that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted more buffs than nerfs. We didn't think the game needed that many nerfs. And I definitely still shared that sentiment. And I think this patch actually delivered properly on that aspect. So again, overall, really happy with these changes. Big winners again: great swords, curved great swords, great hammers are probably the biggest winner for today. Other than that, there's some small winners. Curved swords, small winners, might be like low-key a lot better. What else is there? You know, Great Auricular Bubble, big winner. Morgoth Cursed Sword, big winner. A lot of nice little changes all around here and there. And yeah, overall pretty good patch. If I was to say if something is left that's important, I would say one bug. So they also fixed like offhand stance weapon art swap or Ash of War swap, so that's good. But one that is not still fixed, chainsaw is still possible. Aim punch is still in the game, so those like are probably like some of the two most important changes. I would also say that overbuffing is still a problem. Like defense buffs, I've started to explore like defense buffs in the recent streams, and defensive buffs are too strong. Just like offensive buff stacking was too strong as well. While they nerfed RKR, they nerfed the Claw Talisman, I still have not seen like the full extent of like how buff stacking is still now. But I would say like buff stacking, defense buffs, aim punch, chainsaw glitch, those are probably like, to me, like some of the things that are left that should be taken care of. I would also say like a nerf to Storm Stomp as well. Storm Stomp is also still stupid. Storm Stomp is like one of those like sleeper, like disgusting Ash of War that's like way too easy to use and way too strong for how no skills it takes to use. So Storm Stomp is another one. Wing Tier also, that's true. Yeah, Wing Tier. So there's still like, you know, the game had too many issues to like fix everything in one go, but this patch overall definitely delivered. Really happy about it, and we're probably not going to see a patch in a while because that was a big one. They also worked on ray tracing. They wasted their time working on ray tracing on this. We almost forgot to mention it. We actually launched this is the PS4 version of the game. We launched earlier the PS5 version of the game. We tried ray tracing, and we did not notice a difference, except that the game was running like shit. So, I mean, you have to be a bit dumb, if I'm being honest, to run ray tracing on a console. But hey, it's there, and it's a feature. So, the only reason why you'd be running ray tracing, like, with a brain, like, if you're a normal person, you're running ray tracing, it's because you have a really beefy PC, and you don't plan on playing online either. So, you know, so this is just very specific part of the people who play the game. Like, the ray tracing was a big waste of resource, in my opinion, but here it is. It's still here. It's barely works, makes no difference, and yeah, it's a thing. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything that the patch covered. So, really good patch overall. Again, I don't think there's really too much ugly in there. The ugliest and the change that we disagree the most from this patch is probably the Death Ritual Spear, or the Spear Call Ritual Ash of War. That thing is too fast for the type of attack it is. Like an area of effect like that that can shoot through walls should take a bit longer to set up. I'm just gonna say it like that. What about light roll? The change with light roll, I'm gonna have to play with it more. I'm gonna have to fight more light roll players, because as much as I could give my opinion and say that I barely noticed the change when I was looking at it, I'm gonna have to feel it with gameplay. So I want to see for gameplay, although it does seem like BHS with light roll is still an issue. Like, you travel still like ridiculously far with BHS light roll, so not too sure about that. Well. Alright guys, I think we're gonna call it here, because when I learned about the patch, I basically did not sleep, so I have not slept yet. and I think I'm gonna have to make a few videos about this before I go to sleep too, so I'm gonna have to work a little bit before I go to sleep, so I think I'm just gonna end the stream here. I think this is like probably like a 5 to 6 hour stream that we got going on here. I'm starting to get pretty tired. Well guys, thanks everyone for coming by the stream. Was a blast. We tested a bunch of this in the arena also earlier. It was quite surprising because like a lot of people were playing with like all the new stuff. It was great. But at the same time, it felt like almost a bit like a new game at times because some of the moves are so much faster and have so much more range that you have to get used to some of these new movesets, like the Greatsword running, the curved Greatsword running. The first few matches, like I think everyone is going to get caught off guard the first time they play these weapons. But it's definitely nice. It's a nice addition, and I can't wait to try out more of these weapons and invasions. Alright, we're gonna find someone to raid. Again, and thank you so much for coming by the stream, everyone. Really appreciate it.